Hi, everyone. My name is Evan Narcisse. I'm a writer in different forms of media. I write comic books, animation. I'm a narrative design consultant in video games. My journey started basically as a journalist. Ironically enough, I was covering all these different media that I work in. And I wrote for places like Kotaku, IO9, a few freelance pieces for The Atlantic and the New York Times. And I started as somebody who was a journalist and a critic covering these mediums. So I'd write about comics, I'd write about video games and animation and movies and TV. Then in around 2016, Marvel Comics reached out to me to gauge my interest in writing a miniseries about the Black Panther. This is way before the movie was coming out, but I'd written extensively about Black Panther because he's my favorite comic book character. There he is back there. That opportunity created a seismic shift in my career and what I thought was possible for myself. So once it was announced that I was writing that miniseries, game studios, animation studios, and other entities started reaching out to me to figure out if I wanted to do work with them too. A lot of people said, "Hey, we figured you were a journalist and you were never interested in this side of things," but as these opportunities presented themselves to me, I decided to pursue them. That's kind of how I got along in my creative journey. Kind of unexpected and still feels surreal sometimes as I'm a couple of years into it, but I've been able to contribute to projects that I care a lot about. The Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales game that Insomniac did, I was a consultant on that, and I worked on the War for Wakanda expansion for Marvel's Avengers game that Crystal Dynamics did. And I think one of the most important lessons I've learned is that, quite honestly, I can do this work. I can contribute to this work. And probably even more importantly than that is, how desperately voices from marginalized backgrounds and communities are needed in the entertainment industries. I've been in way too many rooms where I'm the only person who looks like me, even when we're telling stories about characters from similar backgrounds as me. I'm trying to do what I can to help open doors or build awareness about the importance of the kind of contributions that people from marginalized communities can make. Well, I want to get better at everything I'm doing. Each project feels like a new challenge. Whether it's coming in on the ground floor of a video game project and working with the design team and figuring out, okay, how do mechanical design, level design, you know, art and aesthetics create narrative of their own and support the overarching story that a project is trying to tell. So that's stuff that I'm still learning. Comics is a certain economy and pacing and visual imagination that continues to be a challenge in a good way. Trying to figure out, okay, how can I get the artist to draw exactly inside my head, or how can I get him to draw something that's in his head that he may not necessarily know about yet. And that's an awesome challenge. The collaborative nature of comics and video games too is really, really cool. You get to have really fun interactions and meaningful and educational ones. So each creative opportunity I'm lucky enough to engage in, there's probably a lesson inside there that I'm trying to dig out. So I'm enjoying it a lot so far. That I can do this, like when I was growing up reading comics, this is pre-internet. So like you didn't know who the creators were or what they looked like, And one of the interesting things about my journey as a reader and now a writer is that like I was able to pick up on things like little cultural cues from certain creators. I'm like, oh wait, there's a Black person writing this. And I confirmed that years later, but being able to see people executing the crafts that I felt so passionately about was the first part of getting on this journey. But the second part was believing that you could do it. The other thing I'd tell myself, my younger version of myself, is find community as early as you can. Like every stage of my career has been galvanized by finding peers who I can just be real with. Nowadays, that's such an invaluable resource to me, like people who you can share work in progress with or come to in moments of doubt or concern, or just, kind of share institutional knowledge with. Like, hey, what does this person like to work with? What is am I wrong about this? Like, what's your take on this? Like getting that kind of community and support and giving it back to other people has meant a lot to me. And that's probably something I should have done more of in college. But I wasn't sure about what my path was then. But like, I definitely would go back and tell college Evan, like, yo, find the other writers, find the other people who are doing what you think you want to do.